Hello everyone, Lex the Great here. Welcome back to another episode of Wolf Past Echoes. This is episode 22. Won't be too long, I don't have much time on my hands, but I want to show you guys another change. Let's go to the table. I don't have the whiteboard today, but I do have this folder I've created for the Wolf campaign. Now, the Wolf series is growing, and I don't think I can really maintain it in several separate different types of documents. A little notepad, a couple of sheets of paper, a character sheet, the world map. So it's all here in this one folder. I've done this before many times, and it's just shows how inconsistent I am. But here we are. This is the video, and this is what we're going to do. On my character sheet, got the world map right here, of course. We got this actually worked out because this large 2 or so inch binder had room on the spine for this permanent spot for our one-page mythic discovery meeting table. So it worked out. We got our dice and we have our continuous notes here. Now I'll be using a pen and I will kind of continue what I did on the whiteboard, and I had those little sections, like those devoted spaces for only tracking very important events during the episode. A lot of the things I say, like regarding scenery or certain environmental factors, small details, are going to live and die in my head. They're not going to be jotted down. I'm only going to note things down that are significant to the story and our character. Basically, like a summary of what transpired. So, as you guys can see here, I wrote down that for Wolf, his little track here, I'm going to call him tracks. He's in the Temple of Dungeon, and Wolf meets someone outside the outside Temple of Dragon. Sorry, not Dungeon, Dragon Garden. That summarizes what basically happened in the latter part of yesterday's episode. Then for Jory, our little spy in disguise, Jory located where Wolf is due to the meet with the archivals, and he's currently in Wholf. So that summarizes what occurred in the entire portion of his episode. And after, on the back of all of this, I have basically I'll show you guys. I almost forgot to cut the camera. I got characters, a character list. I got my factions here, and I got my locations. Those are the 3 pivotal things to track during the campaign. So who does your character meet in person? What sort of factions are there that your character will interact with or oppose? And locations where your character will eventually go to. So let's go back to our notes here. Not perfect, but it's definitely going to work. So we have our 2 dice here, 2 sets of dice that really are applicable for these videos. I will continue using the Apocalypse system, powered by Apocalypse, for probably a few more episodes. We'll see how it goes if I continue to like the success ranges of narrative outcomes compared to the 4 or 8 dice, which are also respectively good. I'm just trying different things. So let's begin with Wolf. I think Jory, we know he has concluded his little quest, and he's going to be on his way to the Temple of Dragon with the help of the archivals, because the archivals want that scroll back. That was the deal. They are, again, a kind of a neutral bureaucratic group of collectors, while the Arcane, Jory is leader of, are a chaotic scavenger group of thieves. So, though not very stealthy to their respect. So, let's focus first on Wholf. Where we left off, he was basically kind of admiring this dead garden that he discovered behind the dragon. There was this archway that revealed itself, and it's basically on a coastline, on the cliffside of, think Ireland, basically, on the cliffside, very green, on the facing the entire coastline of the ocean. And as he's kind of exploring, I'm sure he's thinking about Jory, but he's first off is trying to figure out where he is exactly. So maybe before he meets that mysterious person, we can take a step back in the narrative steps here. And he's trying to figure out where he is. So he's looking at landscapes, he's looking at markers, the coastline itself. Again, he's lived here for 30, 40 years of his life, so he's definitely familiar with the area. And this is where we'll do our first roll for today. We're going to do a roll to try to figure out if he can pinpoint exactly where he is. And that might be lessons taught by Edwin because Edwin helped him become a survivalist. So with that, we will be using our fate chips here, and I will withdraw one to invoke the aspect that gives us a plus an advantage roll. So we roll 3d6, and we'll be using careful because we're not in a rush for clever. We're not really doing anything flashy. Forceful is unnecessary. Quick, sneaky, not also irrelevant. So here we go. And we're going to use the 4, 3 plus the careful of +1. That gives us a 5, 6, 7, 8, which means he is partially successful in telling in figuring out where he is, though not in great detail. He is familiar with probably something he can see in the distance, but he can't tell if it's Haldrith. Haldrith is in most likely in the line of sight if he was outside further. So again, we are right here, and if he's looking out into the coastline, you probably could see Haldrith. But I think there is something obstructing his view. It could be part of the structure he's in, the building he's in. It could be too far. Maybe there's fog. There's some environmental factors into consideration. So let's consider the partial success tied to the environmental factors that are blocking, obstructing his view. That is it. That's all we're going to really do. So let's put a character sheet right here. And then now we are basically going to state who exactly makes themselves present to Wholf behind his back. We have to figure out what this individual is doing. We are going to discover a whole new character. I believe this character is going to be significant, so we definitely want to write him down in our character list. Before we do that, we will jot him down in our daily notes. So when we do meet new characters, new factions, or new locations, they will remain in our daily notes. So daily notes is basically what we guys look at here, right? As I write down important factors of the episode. The master list that was kind of reconfigured to become these 3 individual papers, the character, location, and faction list, those are a master accumulation of the prior list. So officially, if that makes sense, this has become the master list. I'm tripping over my words here. Basically, this is the master list. All these pages here. And these 3 in the back are extensions, character, location, factions. That's it. I mean, that's really it. So I was sorry, I was a little confusing earlier. I mixed my words up. This is the master list. The 3 are extensions. But I'm going to call the daily notes the individual pages that we're writing on per episode, or even if the episode kind of bleeds into another. So, as my time runs out here, let's figure out who this guy is. So let's go back to the board here, the table, and roll on the discovery meeting, which again I have. This works perfectly. It's right there. And the action descriptor will be a great combination for figuring out who this guy is. 70. What is he doing? Mundane. Okay. That's actually pretty fun. I have a clever, funny outcome for that. So mundane, and then 30 for the scripter. Feeble. Feeble. Oh, he's an old man. Okay, so let's write this down. We have a new character. And it's, I'm going to put new character. This will be, let's see, we have mundane and feeble. Well, let's collaborate here with myself. So let's see. Mundane. Maybe he's watering the flowers despite the fact they're dead. That's the funny part, depending on how funny it can range. He's watering the plants. That's basically what triggers Wholf to turn around and hear some sprinkling of water. It's basically a little pot of water that he's watering the plants with. A gardening, not a gardening hose, but the little thing you hold to water plants, a jug of water with a little sprout. And feeble, he's old. He's just an old guy. He's just kind of in maybe not like pajamas or anything. He probably lives here, but he's in commoner clothing. Very old. There's maybe it's dirty. So let's figure that out. So he is a older man, old man. and he's basically wearing common clothing. Commoner. Old man commoner. Wholf sees this, and he didn't see him before. He just popped out of nowhere. Is this individual based on the moment when Wholf met his parents in their astral form as spirits? Is this old man in a similar state? Possibly. I've been thinking of introducing in the Temple of Dragon a character who's not dead but actually alive. But there is a very, very minor possibility that he also could be a spirit. So let's say 25% chance that this man is actually a spirit. And Wholf, oh my gosh. Okay, that's literally one below, which means he is a spirit. That's fine. You know what? I was hoping to make him alive, but it makes sense why he just kind of popped out of nowhere. So he is a star here, a spirit. And because it makes sense that Wholf has this ability to see the dead, I mean, he saw Edrin for some time in earlier episodes. His parents, I mean, it makes sense. He has the experience of being in the Dark Realms, which was a previous arc. So he obviously has, he's no stranger to the dead, which is making this world out to be more of a dark fantasy than low or high fantasy. Probably dark low fantasy, not like high fantasy with just raging magic. There's been magic obviously with Jory, but I think it's just a little too vague right now to pinpoint how well the magic is in this world, how well controlled it is compared to chaotic, unstable magic. That makes sense. So, okay, he turns around, he sees the spirit, and it's this old guy that's watering the dead flowers. The water's obviously not there. It's just a watering with that tool. And Ulf says, "Excuse me, who are you?" Does the spirit respond? Well, you know what? Let's roll on the discovery table to see what he does. Okay, so let's roll. That's going to be off camera just slightly. 54 goals. Okay, that gives me an idea for what his occupation is. Goals perfect. Okay. So as he responds, he says basically that he's the gardener and he's trying to keep this garden perfect. He's trying to keep this garden nice and healthy. Ulf is confused because he's looking around. The garden's obviously dead. It looks like this on camera here. And he walks up slowly to the old man. The old man probably does have like a hat on, like a gardening hat, like an old, maybe made of straw or something. His face isn't covered. Ulf kind of leans in a little bit and looks at him. And the old man's just kind of watering, minding his own business. And then Ulf says, "Well, do you know what this place is?" And the old man, judging by our earlier roll, he's fixated on he's focused on the watering the plants. I don't think he's going to do much responding unless he allows for a moment of response. Let's say he doesn't respond. He just says, "I'm just watering these plants, just watering these flowers. They have to be healthy for the master." That's all he says. The master. Who exactly is this master? So Wholf takes a step back. I'm gonna write this down in my notes here. Master is okay. Um, there is a show back in the 90s that I'm a huge fan of, Mystery of Science Theater 3000. I might have talked about it or referenced it a few times on this channel. That's basically a show with the silhouette of two robots and a guy making fun of bad movies. B movies, old public domain material. And they're still going. They're also known as riff tracks now. But anyways, besides talking about the show entirely, they basically make fun of bad movies. And there was an episode, a very infamous episode, the movie itself that they made fun of was hour. Movies are usually over an hour. And it's called Manos, the Hands of Fate. Now, it's one of my personal favorites. It's also one of the most campiest, worst movies of all time. But if you love bad movies, if you're a sucker for crappy films and making fun of things in terms of films, movies themselves, I recommend it. But basically, Manos, the Hands of Fate, there is a weird character named Torgo. and I'm going to use it for this episode. So let's go to our sheet here. This is Torgo. Torgo is a odd, goofy, uh, old man. In the Mystery Science episode, he's younger. He's probably in his 30s. He has a very like weird beard, kind of patch grown, and patchy and how it's grown. And he has a Torgo hat, just notorious. So if you search Torgo Manos Hands of Fate on Google, the first image will be Torgo. But I'm making him out to be well. We can, you know what? Actually, let's retcon something. Torgo is not old. He is just a weird commoner. I'll put weird here, and I'm going to make him out to be Torgo. Just straight up from Manos Hands of Fate. I'm going to put a little note here. Manos. And this is how he talks. It's extremely bizarre, but he says basically, the master wants his garden to be perfect as he's watering them. And he kind of has a theme song in the background. It's the same notes played over and over in the episode. It's been kind of an ongoing joke in the show. But anyways, back to our show here. Torgo is basically the master wants to make sure his garden is lively. And again, I said that he's a spirit, which is fine. We'll keep that as it is. But he's not an old man. So Wholf doesn't recognize him. I don't think he does. This guy has been here for generations, and now he's dead, and somehow he's still doing what he does, and it's watering the garden. Torgo is basically the servant of Manos. Essentially, he does take care of the grounds. He cleans up. He washes the dishes. He serves guests, etc., etc. That's basically what Torgo is and what he does, and that's what he does here. Torgo is just watering the flowers, and Wholf is entirely confused. But Wholf is kind of playing along. He sees that this spirit is bound to this area. Probably was a punishment for defiance, let's just say. Well, again, that might be a thing I'm going to remember now, but forget later. But yeah. Anyways, he's a ghost. He's a spirit here bound to this area. And Wholf is interacting with him, which is good. I can get some details out. He says, and what is your name? He asks him. And Torgo says, I am Torgo. I maintain these grounds as he kind of freakishly looks at Wholf leaning while continues to water the dead flowers. Now, the water kind of just disappears onto the flower. It doesn't actually water the ground. And so Wholf kind of takes a step back and says, you, Torgo, okay? Torgo, who is the master? And then Torgo stops watering the flowers. He kind of becomes disoriented. He says, the master is the great one. The master knows all, and he keeps like basically praising the master to be this almighty being, this amazingly powerful individual, blah blah blah. And so we can also get another character mention here, the master. So new character star, we have the master, which again I'm stealing straight from that Manos movie. But we haven't seen the master yet. He's MIA. We know Torgo is this spirit. And so as Torgo is saying these very righteous things about the master is perfect. The master is all seeing, all being, all powerful, all godly. And then Wholf says, are you talking about a god of sorts? And he says, the master is no god. The master is an individual. He is all, and then goes on another like broken record about. So he's saying these things that a god would be, all seeing, all powerful, but he's not a god. So he keeps just kind of praising this man, but this man Torgo acknowledges that he is another individual, another person, like Wholf. And so Wholf is like, he's trying to figure it out. Like, who does this man look like? Like, is this man here right now? Because again, half of Wholf right now is genuine interest about what's going on, but the other half is where is Jory? Where's his friend Jory? You know that's also on his mind. But Wholf is he's astounded by what's happening, and I'm trying to look at his aspects. If there's anything we can invoke right now. Lessons taught by Edrin. Oh, there we go. So, lessons taught by Edrin. So while Torgo mentioned the master, we're going to roll basically a knowledge check essentially, and we're going to pay the piper once more. for invoking lessons. Actually, no, we're not going to pay the piper. I have an idea. The mention of the master triggers something in Wholf's mind. Either a flashback mixed with some knowledge per Edward. The master is most likely the individual who destroyed Ashward with the dragon. So, as we continue this little, discovery here, the master is basically the one who controls the dragon that destroyed his home, Ashford. And we're going to roll basically, or compel, I should say compel, Wholf to have a flashback again, another flashback scene, to remember the master. And a mix of flashback memories recalled regarding Edwin talking to him about it. So, obviously, there's no roll here. We can roll on the discovery table how the memory goes, but we're compelling, which means we're accepting, and we're going to give him back that fate point. Now let's roll to see what this memory brings. So I'm going to write down a memory of Master and Edrin. Okay, so we're rolling the action. That's going to be 18. It's competition, and then 44, which is going to be important. Okay, so the flashback is not showing the master, but the flashback is so intense. It is a story when I think Wholf was a tad younger, maybe a few years or so after he grew up, maybe in his teens, after being raised like a parental. Again, Edwin is a parental guardian after the parent's death, but he's technically his uncle. He told Wholf about the master and the dragon and the temple dragon, most of the dragon himself and the master controlling. He says the master was a dangerous foe. He was he was feared amongst the land of the southern Escobar Island, and he was a tyrant. He destroyed countless lives, and he was cynical, and he was bent on finding the dark realms. And that's it. That's all the memory really shows. So basically, the master, let's write that down, equals a tyrant, a let's say a cult, perhaps cult leader. I'm going to say cult for now, kind of in quotations, just to lightly use that word there. A cult, and was bent on finding the dark realms. See, as I said, everything else, like, he killed, probably pillaged villages, towns, searching for the dark realms. Eventually, he found it. This was the dark realms access point that was closest to him. Tyrant sums up that word. So again, I want to try to keep my notes to a minimum here. Tyrant is a great summarization. Cult leader, that's a placeholder for now. He could have been operating solo, a small group of misfits to an extent, followers, but I don't think he was a full-on cult. But definitely a tyrant, definitely a magical, powerful being. And so Wholf, remembers this again in narrative form. He is compelled, and he understands that he is in the Temple Dragon. So they connect the dots now. Now he's like, okay, this is the Temple Dragon. I am in enemy territory. This is what Edwin taught me when I was a teenager. When I fought to understand in my mind and to not to forget, but to be ready for. So he is in enemy territory. But the problem is, this whole place looks abandoned. It's completely in dismay. It's not destroyed. It's just left to be maintained by a ghost. And so Wholf, after kind of snapping out of it, he opens his eyes, or his vision comes back, and Torgo is gone. He's looking around. Torgo is now kind of near the edge, watering some other plants. So he walks up to Torgo, and he says, Torgo, tell me, is the master here? Torgo once again kind of stops. He looks at Wholf with an odd expression. He says, "The master is everywhere. He is not but he is giving him a weird metaphorical word salad. And so Wholf is like, he is here. And so he thinks of the dragon. He says, Torgo, who is the dragon? Is that the master? He's trying to figure out the dragon as the master. Torgo drops his water container thing. Again, I'm sorry, I cannot remember the term for it. It's such a simple gardening tool. Um, and he drops that, falls on the ground, kind of disappears. He says, "The dragon." Now, do we ask the Oracle here if the dragon is the master? I think we do. I can say it is, but I rather ask the Oracle because earlier we realized the dragon had no like dragon trainer riding it around or something. But let's ask the Oracle. I'm gonna say 75% chance that the dragon is indeed the master. Maybe he's maybe he's a shapeshifter. That makes sense. That makes him no role necessary. He is a shapeshifter. Let's write that down. So um, the master is a shapeshifter. Okay, that kind of makes some good sense there. I'm going to tie that detail that I will add to the character list, as I mentioned. So that's great. That works out. And my time is up. But I believe this is some a tremendous reveal. Now, the next episode will be 23, but it's kind of a two-parter of this one, so 22 and a half. But I will obviously have the number 23. So I will keep this part of the character sheet open, and we will use the same sheet. So essentially, this will be episode 23, which I'll note down right now. Basically, episode 23. But me and you just witnessed episode 22. I'll cross that out right here, just to basically let myself know as, hey, that's where 22 went. So 22 was just a small little area, but again, my time was limited. However, I think we discovered something very tremendous, and that is the servant Torgo and two characters from Mystery Science Theater episode, the movie specifically Manos Hands of Fate, and the master could be the dragon, a shapeshifter. So I'm gonna write down question mark dragon. So dragon question mark. Which makes sense. I mean, if this guy's a tyrant, if he is this pillaging, powerful mage, then most likely he's also a shapeshifter, some spell, and he used the dragon form, his dragon form, to intimidate, destroy, and attack. When probably in reality he was an old man. He just had the power to do so, and he used it to assert dominance in the world in the southern island of Veskimer. It makes sense. But where is he now? Why is there giant? I mean, the dragon probably is just a statue he made of himself. You know, he probably is an egotistical narcissist, but he's also a tyrant. So it kind of matches perfectly. Tyrants in modern day. So that's really it. I hope you guys like this. This actually is fine. I will continue with it. It's kind of a hassle to turn to the back page and get those location lists and such. But again, that's always touched the last part of the episode or after post recording, so not really a problem. But as always, thank you for watching. And something I never actually say is please, if you enjoyed my content, subscribe, like, and share. Please comment. That's the most important thing out of all those little mentions, as usual, from all YouTubers around the world. Commenting there are commenters on my channel. I really appreciate that. Typically, there's a handful of commenters on my channel, and I really appreciate the engagement, and I appreciate everybody watching. And I know that my subscription count is climbing since I returned to Analog Play. That is, I believe I talked about in my live stream that it was as expected. AI kind of steers people away, but when I do traditional play like this, people seem to join, and that's probably for the better. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.